Great. Hi, everyone. I am Kyla Gerdine-Dahl, the lead of our women's team member resource group. Samantha?
Yeah, and I'm Samantha. I'm the co-lead with Kyla of our team member resource group.
So welcome everyone to our Women's History Month event. We are joined here with Christie Lenneville, who is our VP of User Experience here at GitLab. We will be sharing a discussion as we kick things off here, and then we'll introduce the members of our audience as we move into our AMA. So thank you for joining us, Christie. It is great to have you join us.
I am so honored that y'all asked me to do this. Thank you.
Yeah. So Christie, I'm going to kick us off with the first question, and Kyla and I will bounce back and forth with the questions. So this first one is, I'd love to hear, what does Women's History Month mean to you?
Yeah. I think for me, it's a good reminder. Women have contributed so much throughout history, but when you think about how we're taught history, those contributions don't often make it into the conversation, right? I think over time we're doing a better and better job of that, but we're still not there. The reminder for me is that women are still making history. Women are still contributing so much. But we also, as women, have a tendency to downplay our contributions, to think that they are not as important, or, well, I mean, no, anybody could have done that. We also have a tendency to put so much of the credit on the people who we work with and forget to take, or to acknowledge, I guess is what I should say, acknowledge the part that we played ourselves in those contributions. So I think it's just a good reminder that, yeah, you have so much to give, so much to offer, and it's okay to talk about that and to acknowledge it.
Thanks, Christie. That's really great. I think that that's like such a great way to frame the month as such an important reminder. I'll pass it over to Kyla for this next one.
Thanks, Samantha. Christie, I'm curious, since working at GitLab, what has been your strongest area of growth personally?
I'll give you two. The first one I'll say is, I think GitLab has really pushed me to make my voice heard in a big way. And not that I've been quiet in previous roles, I haven't, but at the same time, getting to lead user experience for such an amazing organization, and then a UX department comprised of such amazing people, and where user experience, has such a big impact on the business. It's taught me that so much of my role is to get out there and to be the face of that, and to make that known, and to make that be heard, and to build enthusiasm around that, and to be a cheerleader and a champion. So I think that's been a huge positive growth area for me. The other one, I see Eric Johnson is here, so he'll appreciate this. GitLab has also really drilled in for me the value of data. I've always tried to use data in making business cases as a UX leader, but frankly, it's hard. It's really hard to do. And we've found some really creative ways to do that at GitLab, and it's made a really big difference in making sure that UX has a seat at the table. So I've really appreciated Eric's partnership in helping me to grow that part of myself.
Thank you. Two very impactful areas of growth, most definitely. Samantha, over to you again.
Yeah. So this last question before we go into the AMA section, and I'll plug the AMA again. If you have questions for Christie after this, we're going to do an AMA, so put them in the doc. I'd love to hear, what is something you wish you would have known earlier in your career?
To relax. When I was much earlier in my career, I thought individual moments were much more important than I now realize they are. I gave way too much weight to individual conversations, individual scenarios, where like, this is so hard, or someone said something to me and it seemed kind of weird. It was kind of offensive, whether it was actually offensive or not, right? But it was because I was taking things probably more personally than I should have. I thought that people were probably thinking about me more than they actually did. 20 plus years into my career, I have mastered the art of letting a lot of stuff just kind of roll off my back, flow on by me, which I think is good for me. I am a much more relaxed person now as a result, but I think it's also good for the people I work with. I can be more authentic. And then I think when I'm more relaxed, the people I work with are more relaxed too.
That feels like some personal advice for me. So I really appreciate you sharing that, Christie.
Love it.
Okay, I'm gonna move us on to the AMA, and PJ has the first question. So if PJ is here, I'll ask him to voice it.
I can do it.
Cool.
Hi. So I'm looking for a time when you sort of felt most successful at GitLab, and what you think your biggest win was since you've been here.
It's hard to choose because I feel like we've had a lot of really amazing wins. I'm going to say seeing usability added to our 3-year company strategy. That was amazing. That doesn't happen at other companies. Usability is so often an afterthought. And so when I say usability, let me be more specific, I guess, about why I think this is so exciting. Usability is about the experience that people are having with our product. It's about the impact that we are making on people. And then you think about a tool like GitLab, where people are using this tool to get their jobs done. That means something to people. They show up every day, and we can make their lives better or worse with our tool, right? We can make them faster. We can make them more productive. We can make their jobs easier for them. To see us prioritize that as a company is kind of thrilling. And I would say is probably the biggest win that I've seen over my last 3 years. But again, there have been so many. That was a hard one to choose.
Thank you so much for that answer. It is really awesome to see like the usability of the product be at the forefront here. And you're right that it's not common. So I'm sure that's thankful, that's due to you and all the work that you've done. So like, thank you for helping make that a priority here at GitLab. So it's not just the GitLab thing that GitLab did, it's the thing that you made happen at GitLab. So thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that. I'm going to immediately contradict what I said in my first answer, because what I'm going to say is part of it was me. And a lot of it is due to just a lot of different people, not just in the UX department. It's folks from all over. It's folks from product, it's folks from engineering, it's folks from quality, you name it. It's been a really collaborative effort. But thank you. I did play a part in it. So thank you.
Diana, you want to ask the next one?
Yeah, sure. Christie, I'd love to hear a bit more about what role mentors have played in your career path so far.
Yeah, thanks, Diana. This is an interesting question for me because I have never had a formal mentor. That being said, I've learned so much from the people who I've worked with. I have had leaders who I've learned so much from, but not just leaders. I learn from my direct reports. I learn from their direct reports. It's always amazing to me to see. So when we hire, we really try to hire great people. And I think we do hire great people. And every single one of those people knows something I don't know. And I love watching and learning from everyone. So I'll be a little more specific and say, she works here now, but Laura Clymer, who is now our director, the director over in marketing, she was one of my earlier managers, much earlier in my career. And she's a good 5 years ahead of me in her career. So she's had more experience than I did. And she's a really good manager. And she has mentored me on a lot of things. There are pieces of wisdom that she gave me that I still share with people on a regular basis, which is really cool and exciting. And what's fun is that she and I talk about how we mentor each other now, which is fun. It's fun to see, because look, I couldn't have mentored her when she hired me, 15 years ago. But now I have enough experience and some wisdom to share with her too, which is cool. So it's neat to see when relationships like that develop.
Great. Thank you, Christie.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Christie. Jackie, are you on the call and want to voice your question?
I am. Christie, I'm so excited that you're taking the time to do this. Thank you. What is a professional goal you've set for yourself that you're still working toward? And I'm particularly interested in the path to inspiration for that goal, because you inspire so many people here. It would be good to know like how you stay inspired.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. This is another one that Eric's going to probably giggle about just a little bit, because he and I have talked about this before. I am very happy in the role that I'm in. I'll be honest, I don't have huge aspirations to go be like a chief design officer. I'm at a point in my career where I feel like I'm in a role that fits me really, really well. So my professional goals aren't necessarily about, moving up in my career anymore. Really what my goals are around is getting better and better at leading my team. I want to feel like I am leading a team who feels empowered and appreciated and excited to be working on what they're working on. That's really, really important to me. And I feel like I get better and better at that over time, but like, I don't feel like I've like hit the end of being able to do that. I want to keep growing and making sure that that's the culture that I'm building on the teams that I work with. So that's really what I'm focused on right now. How do I stay focused and inspired on that for that? It's watching the people around me. When I see the amazing work that my team does, that is inspiring. When I see them do things and I go, I never would have thought to do it that way. That's so cool. When I see them going outside the boundaries of like what their official job is, to do really interesting things that I'm like, oh yeah, totally, we should have done that. Why didn't we do that even sooner? That's inspiring to me, and that's what keeps me going. And I guess frankly, that's why I want to keep building a culture where people feel like they can do that. I love seeing that happen.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'll pass it off to Hannah.
Hey, Christie, I'm curious what your take is on this concept of finding balance. I feel like it's a never-ending pursuit for women, and I'm curious if you think it's a myth, if it's something achievable. What's your outlook on balance?
I think balance is hard. I have 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a son who will be 5 in just a couple of weeks. I'm married. I have a husband who I, try to find time for as much as I can. I have dogs, lots of things that are important to me. For me, working all remote has been the only way that I've found to truly be able to strike balance in my life. Getting back the 2 hours a day that I would have spent commuting in the past, it was so draining and soul sucking. And frankly, by the time I got home, I'm not a good commuter, y'all. It stresses me out. I don't like it. So not walking in the door at the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I just got out of traffic and people were driving like nuts. I mean, that alone, being able to leave my office at the end of the day and walk out and feel like, hey, I feel pretty good. I had a really nice day with a lot of really nice people, and now I'm just walking into my home and here my kids are here, my husband's here. I think that's made a tremendous difference for me. I will never go back to the office.
Tim, you're up next. You want to voice?
All right, Christie, thanks for doing this. It's great. I was curious about GitLab Values. What has been a GitLab value that you felt personally kind of responsible and seeing the importance of preserving and helping embody in a public way as a leader here at GitLab? You've grown an organization quite heavily. So how has embodying that changed or even not changed as your team has grown?
I think transparency is the most unique value that we have as a company. And it's a hard one to practice and to get right. And frankly, I think especially as a leader, it's a hard one to really understand what it means for GitLab when you first join the company. There is a culture shock around that while you learn, oh, this is what transparency means for us. I've worked really hard as we've scaled from 12 to 60 plus on helping to maintain that transparency. And I think we still do a pretty darn good job of it. I think in some ways it is easier when it's a smaller team, just because it's easier to communicate. You know exactly who you need to communicate with. At the same time, I see all of the leaders who work for me trying their very best to be as transparent as they possibly can. And I'm proud of them for doing that because it's not easy.
Thanks. I'm going to pass it off to Samir Kamani to verbalize his question for you or comment.
Thanks, Tim. Yes, it is a comment. I don't know if many of you saw, but my daughter had just popped in for a few minutes and Christie was talking at that time. First of all, thank you, Christie, for doing this, taking time out of your valuable, very busy, valuable day and speaking with us. That's amazing. But this is the net impact of working from home, right? My kid is watching you and she's getting inspired. She saw the title while you were speaking and she goes, what is VP of UX? So I tried to explain to her what VP of UX, but I did expand it to Vice President of User Experience. And she after the word president, her eyes just glazed over and she's like, is she the boss? I said, yes. She said, maybe that's what I need to be, is a VP in this place. So now, and she loves to draw arts and she loves to draw all kinds of pictures and everything. So she's the VP of arts in our home. So thank you for inspiring my daughter. Thank you for doing that.
I love that so much. What an amazing story. And by the way, I don't blame her for stopping at the VP. When I try to explain to my family what VP of user experience means, they kind of glaze over too. So.
That's an awesome story. I'm not crying, you're crying. But I'll try to follow that up as best I can. Thanks, Christie, for your time today. Loving this conversation. I'm wondering if you think that your lived experiences as a woman impact how you approach, leading your team and your work, and if so, how?
That's an interesting and very difficult question because I've never been a man, so I don't know how I would have done it differently if I were. So I'm going to give you the best answer I can give you here. I mentioned I'm a mama in addition to being the VP of UX here. I think being a mom, you learn how to be very nurturing. dads are nurturing too, but I'm just going to speak from my own perspective. I feel like I am also very nurturing with my team. There's a lot of my team here. They can confirm or deny, but a little bit of a mama bird with a lot of them. But it's in the spirit of making sure that people are taken care of, that they feel heard, that they feel acknowledged, they feel understood, they feel like they can trust the people they work with. Because I'll say that's something I really try to build in my kids is I want them to know, no matter how hard things get, no matter what question they have, I'm always there to help them, to talk to them. They can always be open with me. And I try to really bring that to my job as well. So if I'm not doing that, folks from my team, let me know, but that's what I try to do.
I love that. Thanks. Will, I think you have the next question.
Yes, thanks, Nikki. So my question, Christie, is if there's anybody, historical figure, family member or other, that helped you define your sense of self or your career?
Oh, interesting. I mean, I'm going to have to give you a somewhat vague answer here in that I have been very privileged to work with a lot of really cool, powerful, smart, interesting women. And I've watched them, I've learned from them. Watching them gave me the confidence that I could lead maybe the way that they led. But it's from watching lots and lots of women, right? Not just one woman in particular. I think that's the best answer I can give you on that one. I hope that was satisfying.
Absolutely. Inspiration comes from a lot of places. So that's great. Thank you.
Rebecca, maybe so?
Yes. Hi, thanks, Christy. So my question is kind of about how did you find your way into UX? Your README shows that you started in HR. So I'm curious, as someone who didn't study what I currently do, yeah, how did that path work for you, and what was that pivotal point?
Yeah, okay. I've been around for a while. My career is pretty long at this point. UX wasn't a thing when I was getting my undergraduate degree or even my graduate degree. I did not come, so I'm part of a generation where technology was not front and center. While I was growing up, we had a computer, kind of. That's about it. It was real hard to use. The internet really wasn't a thing at all, or wasn't much of a thing. It certainly wasn't widely used. I mean, I used the internet for the first time when I was getting my undergraduate degree. I didn't know that this was even a possibility. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology, thinking that I would be a therapist one day. And in my 20-year-old wisdom semester before I graduated, I realized that meant talking to people about their problems all day. You'd think that I would have recognized that sooner, but I did not. And so as I graduated, again, I was a semester from graduating, so I wasn't going to change my major at that point. Realized that probably wasn't the right fit for me. By sheer luck, I ended up in human resources, and then I ended up in human resources at Dell, at a technology company. And I went, oh, this is cool. I started doing web design and web development, and really, really loved it and enjoyed it. Ended up getting my master's degree in software engineering. But what became clear to me was that the experience was the part that I actually really cared about and frankly was better at. I don't think I would have made the best engineer. Part of my problem was I get too sucked into it and I can't stop, and it's not great. So anyway, yeah, that's what started pushing me down the path towards UX. And frankly, this is something that my own experience, so I don't know that this will be true for everyone, is opportunities come your way that you never could have expected. So there is no way that I could have plotted out the path that my career has taken. Instead, I've always tried to do the very best job I could in my job, to be open, to build lots of relationships, and then just see like what could come next. And that's how I got where I am.
Thank you.
Hey, Christy, I kind of have a question in that vein of, I'm curious, would love to hear about your path into leadership and management and how you knew that was the right career move for you. And I also think it was very insightful what you said earlier about you feel like you're in the right role now. I'm also interested to hear of, how do you know you're in the right role now?
Yeah, great question. So before I became a leader, I didn't know how I would like it or if I would be good at it, but I wanted to take the chance, and so I did it. I'll be honest, my first couple of leadership positions, was I an excellent leader? No. I did my best, but I just had so much to learn. Are there things that if I could go back and change how I led my teams at that point, would I do it? Yeah, I would do it. One of the things I think I struggled with most early in my leadership career was letting go of the work. I'm a perfectionist by nature. And when I first became a leader, I thought my job was therefore to make the work coming out of my team perfect. Oh, that was not right. Now, fortunately, I am a kind person, so I was not so overbearing with my team that they, wanted to kick me out the front door. They still liked me. But at the same time, was I then giving them the opportunity to grow the way that they needed to? And frankly, was what my job was supposed to be, was helping them to grow, helping them to do their best work. No, I was stealing that from them. It took me a couple of years to realize, oh, wait a minute, this is what I think my job is not what my job is. And I was able to pivot. When I was able to pivot, then suddenly I realized, oh, I really like this, and I think I'm good at it. But I'll admit that was a hard transition for me, and that's something when I'm speaking with new leaders, I always share. I'm vulnerable about it and share, like, hey, I feel like this is kind of a fail early in my career. How did I finally realize that it was the right path for me? Was when the people who worked on my team started telling me, I love my job. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You let me work on something that I've never worked on before. That was when I was like, okay, this is cool. This is why I'm here. I'm doing the right thing. I think that in my current role, so what I love to see is people doing stuff that I can do, but doing it better than I can do it. And then pushing them forward and just like removing blocks from them, helping them to understand how to communicate about the things that they're doing. And kind of the more I've moved up in roles, that kind of the more macro view I've been able to take on that. And then also have gotten the opportunity to help people who are leaders with me know how to do that for their teams. And so I feel like that's kind of a sweet spot for me. Does that answer your question, Melissa?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Christie.
The next one. Hey, Christy.
Hey.
Thanks so much. This is an awesome conversation. I'm learning so much. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about your process for how you found your voice as a leader. I think that's something that a lot of us can probably identify with, and just curious if you had certain, did you just learn by watching? Did you find certain resources that were helpful for you?
I learned by taking chances and just putting myself out there. It's easy to be in a room and have a lot of very confident, verbose people lead a conversation. And even when you might be the expert in what that group of people is talking about, you don't feel confident enough to put your ideas forward. It's easier to sit back and let the conversation happen around you and think, well, I'll kind of shape this after the fact, even while decisions are being made. It is scary to put yourself out there and to stop a conversation and say, wait, hold on a second. I have something I need to say here. What I finally told myself was, if I didn't try it, I wouldn't know what the outcome might be. And kind of the boundary I put on myself was, well, if it's a real problem, I bet somebody will tell me it's a problem. So until I hear that I'm just going way overboard and being way too much, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to keep trying. And what I found was, the more I did it, the better I felt, the more people seemed to appreciate what I was bringing to the table. And so that's what I did, was I just forced myself to do it. And then it was just a process of trial and error. And when I would go home at the end of the day and go, that was scary, I don't know if it was too much, talk myself down from the ledge and go do it again the next day.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. I think it really resonates. I think we often put barriers up for ourselves when your mindset shift was like, hey, someone will tell me if I'm going too far. So I really like that. Thanks.
There's no more questions in the doc, but I wanted to see if anyone else had a final question for Christie before we wrap up. Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Christie, for joining us. This has been such a really wonderful conversation, and I've learned so much from you. I think that I can speak for Kyla and I both to say that you're such a great leader and mentor here at GitLab, and I'm really appreciative of the time that you gave us today to talk about your experience. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the wonderful questions. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And thank you to everyone on the call for making time to be here. I'll share the recording in Slack once it uploads to YouTube too. And hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.